everyday people. I have Cindi with me today, and I'm really excited for her to share her story with you guys because she's been through a number of rounds. She has found various ways to stay in a healthy weight range for herself over a period of time. And so we're going to kind of learn, how she's gone about doing that. And also she has an active Instagram, and she's also shared all her other stuff. So we always need all the support that we can get. So I think she felt comfortable sharing that with you guys today. So you can also check her out there as well. So welcome, Cindi.
Thank you.
Yeah. So tell us just, in a nutshell, like what was your starting and ending weight overall? Like what has been your main weight loss journey? Like where did you begin and where are you in general now these days?
Well, I started out probably around 202 to 212 pounds,
Okay.
and I ended up, my goal weight was 144. I did get down to 136 at one time, but with just life, exercise, and all that, I hover right around 141 to 146.
Gotcha. So that's actually close to 60 pounds though that you kind of maintain a weight loss of,
Yep.
basically.
I was probably around a size 14, and now I can buy size 4s off the rack. So,
Really? That's
yeah.
awesome. Yeah, that's a huge change. And how about what's your current your age and any health things and your height and all that?
I will be 44 in September. And I don't really have a whole lot of health issues right now. I've suffered through some like gallbladder issues, and that was a battle because every time you go through like any kind of gallbladder issues, you have to learn how to re-eat.
Gotcha.
Then I went through endometriosis for about a year and a half.
Wow.
And then I had migraines for about 2 or 3 years, which I do kind of still suffer through that, but I take daily medicine to kind of help control that. But
Gotcha.
yeah.
So you have had some stuff though prior to hCG that you've dealt with.
With like
with the different health things, with the endometriosis and
yeah.
all that gallbladder stuff. Gotcha. And then, and how tall are you?
5'5".
5'5". Okay, cool. So it just kind of gives us a little point of reference. So, and then from a size 14, 16 to a size 4, like I said, that's a huge change. Your body's completely different.
Yeah.
So, and thankfully, you guys, Cindi wrote out a list of her various rounds and how much she lost on each one and what her weight was and what it ended up at and the dates. So we don't need to go in all the details of it right here, but you guys can go to the show notes for Cindi's interview. The link to that will be in the show notes also, and then you can see her various rounds. What I did want to point out was that just because so many people often ask me about how much weight loss is normal on around, and I'm kind of constantly refuting all of the people that say you'll lose a pound a day, because that happens sometimes if you're very heavy or if you're a man. But in general, if you're a woman, especially as you get smaller, you don't lose a pound a day. And as you look at her stats, you can see in general her short rounds she lost between 11 and 15 pounds, and on her long rounds she lost around like 20-ish, right?
Yeah, I was pretty.
And that is average. So it's average to lose about a ½ pound a day on a long round like that. And there's actually a scientific reason for why that is normal, like why you can't really beat those statistics. And I have that in my workbook actually. If you guys want to check that out, that's hcgchica.com/workbook. But I have a whole article, and it does actually present kind of the evidence, the logic behind that. And I think it's important to bring out only because so much of this diet, I don't know if you'd agree with this, is mental, is in your head.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So if you kind of get a wrong perception of what your body should be doing and then your body's not doing it, it could just completely throw you off,
Oh yeah. So, I would weigh myself every day, but then every Monday I would measure, and so many people would say forget to measure, but I needed that because I wanted to know what, if I lost 3 pounds, I wanted to know where it was.
Yes.
It was my arms, my thighs, my calves.
Yeah.
And that really kept me going.
That's a really good tip, actually. Yeah, and to measure multiple places, like you said. Sometimes if you just only do your waist and thighs, you might not realize like your arms got smaller, right?
Yeah.
That's good. Very good. Okay, so that's all there. So you maintain kind of in the 140s, it sounds like. Um, you mentioned here that, like you said, you can get down to the 130s with hCG, but then as soon as you start exercising, you wrote, after P3, your body seems to settle in the low 140s. And you said, I'm okay with that. It was just a personal goal to be in the 130s.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that because sometimes we have to kind of shift our goals, I guess, or what we think is doable. Was that a process for you to kind of adjust your mind on that?
Yeah, because when I was in high school, I probably weighed 119, 125, and I was a size 5. Now,
Yeah.
I mean, I think clothing lines have changed, obviously, but I never thought, it's that mental thing where you're like, I got to get, I got to be here to fit in a certain area.
Right.
But, I mean, if I'm a size 4 and at 140 pounds, I mean, I don't,
Exactly.
I think that's where I need to be. And I've
Right.
went to the doctor and I've done all the blood work, and she's totally happy where I am. She supported me the whole
Good.
time, and
Right.
I think I'm okay.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, because that actually shows that a lot more of you these days is muscle and less of you is fat, which is why you can be a higher weight and be still a smaller size, and that's actually a very good thing. And not everyone always realizes that. I've had the same experience as you, and I also had to adjust my mental mindset because I'm 5'1". So for me, in my head, I always had this little magical invisible number, which was 130 pounds. And I wanted to be under that always. Like, okay, to be not overweight, I have to be in the 120s,
Yep.
And I had to change that once I started CrossFitting and doing heavy weightlifting because I'm the same as you. I'm a size 4. I can even squeeze into a 2. But I am 130 pounds, and I'm between like 128 and 130, but I can't really get below that just because of how much muscle I have now. And we all need some fat on our body, you know?
Yep.
And like you, when I was a teenager, I was more like 105, so it's like, it seems like so much more, but muscle does take up space, and it weighs something, and it's a very healthy thing. So it's just like shifting your perception of what's healthy and realizing, like you said, that in the end it's actually just the size, right, that you want to be. It's not about the weight,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's also why BMI, I don't know if your doctor talked about this with you, but BMI is not very accurate when it comes to if you're a fit person. It
Right.
can become accurate because it's not really telling you, like, it can't differentiate between muscle and fat.
Yeah, because I think 144 is at the top of my BMI chart,
Right.
but I mean,
But you're healthier actually probably than the average woman your height who maybe weighs 10 pounds less, honestly.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it really pays to get that research, you guys, because then you can be sane, and be like, I'm doing good. Like, I'm not doing bad. So anyway, I just appreciated that. Like, you really have to get into the details sometimes and adjust your personal viewpoint. So I appreciated, that you shared that, and that hCG can help us do that, right? Like, change our bodies like that.
Yeah, it is amazing how it really does work, and just so, I mean, I went into it just thinking, well, if I just lost 10 pounds, I'll be happy, but it's like 10 turns into 20, turns into 30, 40, and I did back-to-back rounds.
Yeah.
Just to keep going, and then I started doing the more research I did. I thought, oh my gosh, I was supposed to take breaks in between there. Then I was nervous that it wasn't going to work right, and
Yeah.
so I was very nervous that it wasn't going to stay. But if you follow the rules and do what you're supposed to do,
Yeah.
it's going to work out for you.
Yeah. And honestly, I found the body is pretty adaptable, like, I think sometimes we do worry, like, oh, if I do something slightly off, like, will that impact me forever? And it's like, certain things might impact us for a little bit, but I found that if you work with your body, it's adaptable and you'll be able to get back on track or make things work out long term. I don't think we need to live in fear, of making a mistake and having it, like, never be fixable.
All right.
Yeah. So very good. So why don't we talk a little bit about just, so today anyway, now we're here in 2017. Where are you? Are you in P3 or P4? What are you doing?
I would say most generally I'm in P4 on weekends, and I do kind of P3 during the week. And
Yeah. So
but
that's a smart way to
it's
do
kind
it.
of I kind of have a summer habit, and I'll probably have more like winter habits because
Yeah.
I live in the Midwest and we're Lakers, and we only have a short time of having this nice summer weather.
Gotcha.
We have a lake place, and we go up there, so there's always extra barbecues and extra, you know, just fun stuff with the friends and the family. And
Right.
so I
Gotcha.
kind of prepare myself in the springtime for the summer, and then then I'll buckle down a little bit in the fall, but
Gotcha. So you're a little more carefree in the summer.
on the weekends.
On the weekends. On the weekends. So you have a plan. That's good. So and then what do you mean you prepare in the spring? So what does that entail? What does that mean?
Like I worked out really hard this well, probably starting in January, like kind of, I knew that spring was coming, bathing suit season's coming, and I did all kinds of like just short term, like 12-week challenges.
Oh,
I
cool.
find, there's a couple different people like on Facebook and YouTube, and I just do these like 8 to 12 week challenges, and I work out every day and kind of do just like I'll do some protein days and
Yeah.
build some extra muscle. And
Cool. So you're just trying to tighten up so you have a little more fudge room in the summer on
yeah,
the weekends.
so
Cool.
maybe in the summertime I don't work out quite as much because of the
Because you're
weekends.
at the lake.
I'm on the boat.
That's cool. I like that idea that there's flexibility in how we can approach life depending on your lifestyle, and it sounds like you kind of have a consistent yearly schedule of what you do, so you've kind of made that work for you, knowing when
Yeah.
you want to enjoy yourself more, and so you prepare and like you said, maybe make some adjustments in the fall.
Yeah, and it's all still, in a test group. This is still probably my first full year doing it. But then, like today we just got back from the lake, and I'll just, I'll have, like I put protein powder in my coffee, so I
Gotcha.
kind of start out with my little, after I worked out, I do some like BCAAs, and then put some protein in my coffee, and that's how
Cool.
I kind of start out my day today. And
Gotcha. Very cool. How about so now with your workout thing, like what's your workout routine in general? I know it sounds like it changes a little bit throughout the year, but what do you do?
I like to do like HIIT workouts, muscle toning, and muscle training.
Yeah.
I play volleyball 2 to 3 times a week.
Okay.
Not a big cardio person. I
Yeah.
used to run 5 to 8 miles a day, but I find once my body gets into a routine of that, once I fall out of it, my body changes pretty quickly. But it
Mm,
seems like if I do weights, I can hold on to that strength a whole lot
yeah.
better.
I hear you on that.
Mhm.
Yes, that's true. So how frequently do you do your workouts then?
I usually do my workouts at least 3 to 5 times a week.
Okay.
Um, I was just in a car accident about a month ago, so I had to quit working out for a little bit.
Gotcha.
So I did start that back up, but I was doing physical therapy 3 times a week, and that was actually she actually was working me out. I hurt
You're like, woo.
my back, shoulder, and arm real
Wow.
bad.
Oh man.
I had no gripping in my hand for about
Oh,
4 weeks,
oh
so I
man.
couldn't even lift weights if I wanted to.
How irritating.
Yeah. Yeah, all that is back now, so
Cool.
I'm able to lift the weights.
Good.
But I like to do like the high intensity.
Yeah. Are they like an hour long, the workouts that you do, or
No, I'll do like 20, 30
20?
minutes.
Great. So that's good. That sounds more sane. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So like 3 to 5 days a week, 20 minutes hit workout type things
Yep. And
for
then
you.
I play volleyball. We play beach volleyball outdoors.
That burns a ton of calories, huh?
Yeah, it does.
Awesome. Well, that's good to hear. So, because sometimes people want to know like how much exercise they need to do to help them maintain. I mean, do you feel like the exercise, how do you feel it helps you in your life? Like, are there multiple things like mentally and physically, or how do you feel like it helps you?
Well, I've played volleyball for probably 8 years now. But I think when I'm exercising, especially like doing my HIIT workouts, it makes me want to eat properly then for the rest of the day.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I do a lot of fasting. So sometimes I'll work out and then I'll fast till 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Just so it kind of just keeps that whole mindset going.
Right. Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later too, the fasting, because I found that to be a useful tool as well for me. So, yeah, I agree with that. I work out 3 to 4 days a week, and I don't really do anything outside of that, but I do feel like that 3 to 4 days, like you, it helps me to want to eat right. You know, if like 5, 6 days goes by and I haven't had a CrossFit workout, I do start feeling kind of just like bleh. You know, and it's easier to just start eating more chips. I don't know. It's like so yeah, it's funny how that can kind of keep you mentally on target. Do you do your workouts at home then with a tape,
Yeah.
or what do you, or not a
Yep.
tape? I guess that would be like a, I don't know. We don't do tapes anymore.
Yeah, everything's digital now. My husband's like an IT guy, and so he'll see something new, and he's like, "Oh, I got you this one. Oh, I got you this one." So
Aw,
he really is a big supporter, and
nice.
then I kind of feel compelled that I need to do these because he'll get me a new one, and I'm like, okay, so I got.
Have you tried the new one? Oh, that's sweet. Cool. Well, that's good to hear. So you've done all that. Why don't we just go back a little bit to your past, your history? Like, what has been your history with, like how you got to your 200 and something pounds originally? What have been your struggles with weight over the years?
Well, let's see. My youngest son will be 21 next Friday, actually. And after I had him, I think after I had him, I weighed somewhere around the neighborhood of 140, but I was not a size 4.
Yeah.
Um, and I think just being a young mom, I just, I did not take care of myself the way I thought I would, or I thought maybe I would bounce back the way I did with all my other pregnancies. So I have 3 kids, and I fell into the whole trap of 3 meals a day, fruit, vegetable, meat, bread, at every meal.
Yeah.
And then the snacks in between, and of course, kids snacks are usually, junk, goldfish,
Right.
and
That's right.
juice, and
Mhm.
So I think that's how I kind of slowly started up. And for me, it was kind of like one day I just was like, wow, here I am.
It's here.
And I remember I weighed 165, and I thought, well, I'll never let myself get up to 180. And then I was 180, and then I don't think I probably weighed myself forever.
Yeah.
And next thing I knew, I was buying size 14, 16 pants.
Wow. So it's kind of a gradual thing over a period of years.
Yeah. So when people ask me, I ask myself, when people ask me, they're like, well, how did you get up there? I'm like, I don't know. It wasn't like I just,
Just an extra goldfish each day. No, I was kidding.
Yeah.
It's funny how that happens, huh? Sometimes, like you said, just like a gradual, and you probably weren't, I think you mentioned here that you weren't taking care of yourself and you weren't taking care of your sleep, and you just kind of.
Oh, yeah. Being a young mom, and I was self-employed, and I probably wasn't sleeping the way I should. Looking back now, I'm thinking, okay, this is maybe how these things kind of snowballed into.
Right.
Was.
And you were focused on other things. You were focused on your family and.
Yeah. And then I lost weight one other time. Did you want to talk about that at all?
Sure, yeah. So one other time, yeah, tell us about that.
So I went to the doctor, and he had prescribed me the phentermine, and that actually, I did that, and I exercised my butt off, because that drug gives you a ton of energy.
Yeah, you sounded like you were doing a lot there.
Yeah, it built up over time, but I was running that 5 to 8 miles a day.
Wow.
I fell in love with Zumba, and then someone introduced me to the P90X. So I was doing all that.
Wow.
3 times a day.
Oh my gosh.
And I was eating probably 900 calories.
Oh my gosh.
And I got down to 138, and I was probably size 02, and I was tight.
Gotcha.
But then
And you were on phentermine that whole time?
6 months.
Okay, for 6 months. Gotcha.
So not that whole time, but I mean a good portion of it.
Yeah.
And I had started having gallbladder attacks, and I think they, no one has ever said, well, you lost all this weight and you had gallbladder issues. But from what I've read, a lot of times when you lose massive amounts of weight quickly, you can have
Yes.
gallbladder issues.
I've read that too. Yeah, even with hCG, that's a concern. Like it's, yeah.
So I had to have my gallbladder removed. And so all this time I had learned to eat. I mean, I really was eating okay. I just wasn't eating very much.
Yeah, right.
But I had to relearn how to eat again because not having my gallbladder, I could not eat whole foods. Like I couldn't eat lettuce. I couldn't eat nuts.
Wow.
Apples because my body just couldn't digest it properly. It
Huh.
just.
So what did it feel like when you would eat those foods? What did it feel like?
I mean, it burned and it went straight through me.
Wow. Interesting. It hurt.
It hurt terribly. Like it just.
I'm curious, has that improved? Is it different now?
Oh yeah. But it took probably almost 2 years.
Huh.
And someone had told me to take bile salts, and they would send me to the health food stores and say, there's all these different drugs that you can take, or natural drugs that you can take and make it better. But someone had told me, they were like, well, if you haven't eaten in a while, if you eat a piece of bread, then it'll absorb all that acid. I hadn't eaten bread in 2 years, pretty much.
Huh.
And so I was scared to death of bread because of carbs.
Yeah.
So, but I did take the advice, and so I would do that, and it did. It helped tremendously.
Interesting.
But so then I started kind of incorporating some breads and crackers back into my diet again, and next thing I knew, I went right. I went right back, and next thing I knew, I was 160 again. 180.
Like no. So you've really gone through this whole cycle like twice. Like you got all the way down and then went all the way back up. That's so demoralizing.
Yeah, I mean, at one point I was scared to eat.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was going to do to me, and once I learned to eat again, I was like, you know what? I'd rather be 180 pounds and able to eat than.
Yeah. No, I don't know if you mind if I just kind of stay on this topic for a minute about the foods and the digestion, because I actually have some issues now even with eating certain foods, and I'm not fully, I have some chronic illnesses, so I've kind of attributed it to that, but as far as exactly what's going on, I don't really fully know. And you mentioned that like white bread products made it easier to digest foods. I'm actually the same way. I digest like processed food way better than like, I have to peel all my vegetables. I can't eat the skins. I can't have things with seeds. Like it will really, really hurt, and it will like go right through me and be very painful. So anyway, but so for you, like, was it all because of the gallbladder? Like,
well, it was because I had so much acid in my stomach. Because without having a gallbladder, there's nowhere to store it. So when your body creates the acid, it just sits in my stomach.
Interesting.
So when I would eat anything, it would just, basically that acid would just burn that food.
Because there's so much. Huh. And then, of course, the carbs would just kind of soak it, like kind of soak it up like a sponge probably, huh?
Exactly.
Right. I get it. Interesting. I mean, because I still have my gallbladder. I don't know. Interesting. I need to figure that out.
Gallbladder is a very interesting organ because, and when people are having issues with their gallbladders, it's usually one of two things. It either isn't working properly, overworking, and that's what mine was. Mine was overworking, and then my bile duct was backed up because it had all the gunk and sludge in it.
Interesting. Were you having digestive issues before you had your gallbladder removed? Like, was the same type of digestion problems happening or not yet?
Not at all. Like I woke up in the middle of the night with a gallbladder attack, and my husband's like, "It's just pleurisy. You're fine. Just you'll be okay." And this went on for like 11 days, and they put me on like a no-fat diet.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have these attacks to see if this is really what it was. And I'm telling you, if I had one bite of anything, I think I had a bite of yogurt and we were up at the lake. And I went through and these attacks would last anywhere from 10 to 20 hours. And my gallbladder would swell up like the size of my fist. And we were at the lake, and I remember putting a package of peas on top of it and strapping it to me and laying on the floor.
Oh my gosh.
My husband was like, "We can't do this anymore." And we rushed from the lake. I wanted to go to the hospital here and where I live.
Yeah.
And he probably drove 90 miles an hour to get me to the
Yeah,
hospital.
well, I mean, that's excruciating.
And,
Wow.
and
Oh, man.
I remember when they were telling me they had to give me a shot for pancreatitis. That's something that's very common when you have gallbladder issues.
Yeah.
And the lady had told me, she's like, we have to put it in the fattiest part of your body, or we have to stick it straight into your stomach. And she's like, you have no fat on your body whatsoever.
Oh.
You need to stick it straight into my stomach. It was.
Oh, gosh. Not fun.
It was. I think I was in the hospital for 4 days because I was so sick. They had to give me all these antibiotics beforehand. So the
Gotcha.
gallbladder is not something to mess around with. You can get really sick with it.
Yeah, my gosh. So then it was after you had it removed, now you don't
Yeah.
have a place to store the stomach acid thing.
Yeah. Although, like I do still have like issues. Like when I do my steak days or whatever, and so
Yeah.
when you fast all day and you eat something that fatty.
Yeah.
But it just kind of goes with the territory now.
Gotcha. So I'm curious then, so what exactly helped you to be able to eat more eventually without having that happen?
I started eating those breads and crackers before I
Oh,
eat a regular meal.
I
But
see.
by eating those carbs again, I started gaining weight.
But I see, I gotcha. So, but like, how about today though? Because you stopped doing that. How do you eat today so that you're not in pain, but don't eat tons of bread?
It seems, my body has adjusted.
Okay, gotcha.
I think it just took lots of time.
Some time. Gotcha. Okay, yeah, my mom, she had her gallbladder removed many years ago, and yeah, she seems like she can eat anything,
Yeah.
so.
I think it's just everybody's just a little bit different and that's definitely something that they don't talk to you about. When you're going to have this removed, they don't tell you about any of this. So
interesting. That is so crazy. Okay, cool. So initially, so that happened, and that is true. It's funny how when there's some big life change like that, you do what works at the moment, and then for you that didn't work well with your weight. So then you went back up, and then you had to like start all over. So is that when you ended up coming across hCG?
Well, yeah, I was having some stomach troubles again. I didn't know what it was, and my stomach was like sticking out, protruding, if you want to say. But I was trying, of course, I was always trying to diet in the last probably year or two, and I could lose 12 pounds real easy.
Yeah.
And then I would stop, and then I'd gain it right back. I was always kind of low carbing it, probably not the way it was because I've learned so much in this last 2 years. But I would just always gain it right back. And I'd met a girlfriend of mine, and she told me about the hCG, and she's like, maybe it would help your stomach. Maybe, and all I kept thinking as she's telling me this is detoxing.
Yeah.
And all I wanted it to do was, if this just cleanses out my stomach a little bit, and if I lost 10 pounds, that would be great.
Yeah. Totally.
And she just kept tabs on me to see how I was doing, and I was, I didn't have any resources other than hers when I first started this. So I had never seen before and after pictures except what she had, her story.
Yeah. So you kind of more started it as a way to get out of your discomfort. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did that go? How did that work? So I think you said your stomach went down a lot pretty quickly. Probably because you had inflammation.
Yeah, apparently, yeah. Because I tried to go to the doctor, and they just were like, well, they made me feel like it was just probably my eating habits, which I still don't know. I still don't know what it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, it was probably with some kind of inflammation. But yeah, that first week was really good for me, and I just kept going. I didn't know. I jump in with both feet whenever I do anything, and I was too afraid to not keep going.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to do a short round and see what happens. And like I said, I jump on that scale every day, and there was a loss, and I'd never had one stall in my first round.
That's so nice. That was probably really encouraging. Like, what? That's kind of a nice way to start it sometimes too. Like if you're a person who's considering doing the protocol, but you're like kind of hesitant or you're not really sure, it's like you don't have to commit to a 6-week round. You can start like you did with the idea of doing just a short one and just see how things go. And then when you find it's going so well, then you're like, okay, I'm going to do the full thing, you know, as long as you order your hCG in enough time. But yeah, it's nice that you can do it that way, you know.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it was. I didn't see any other way. And if I were to tell anyone, whenever I do tell anyone, I always say your first round, do the long round.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Yes, I
the
agree,
most
because you just get
successful
so
weight
much
loss.
done. Yeah, you get so much done. Like mentally, if you tell yourself you can stop before it's nice, just so that you don't feel stuck. But I agree, in the end, logically, it makes sense to do a long round, because either way you have to load, either way you have to do P3, and if you're going to have to do that whether you're losing weight for 3 weeks or 6 weeks. So you're just going to get so much more done in the 6 weeks, right?
Yep.
So no, I completely agree. Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. And you mentioned that your first week of hCG on your first round that you had you have a little bit of cravings.
I did. I never crave sugar ever. I'm a salt person.
Yeah.
And I remember day 4. Sorry.
Oh, it's fine. There's an airplane. Let's all enjoy it.
There was a Snicker bar sitting in next to my husband's credenza, and I was just like, that Snicker bar looked so delicious.
How funny. That must have been surprising to you when you don't crave sugar usually.
And I still think about that to this day. You
Yeah,
know, it was
yeah.
2 weeks ago. And I never crave Snicker bars ever, and I still don't to this day. But that Snicker bar on day 4, but that was what got me through the biggest hump. I thought, you know, if I can get past that.
Not crazy.
And I tell people this all the time, that willpower is a muscle, and if you can just exercise willpower, that muscle will get stronger. You know, you just have to utilize it. You have to use it, and it's kind of a self thing. If you can just get past that,
you're right.
It'll be so much easier the next time. So, you know, and people are shocked at how much willpower I have, because, you know, I would go to parties and cookouts and stuff on P2 and comic games, or we have a hockey team around here called Fort Wayne Comets, and I would go to games and I would take my cottage cheese and cucumbers, and they're like, how do you do that with all this popcorn and all this? And I'm like, and all this, you know, hot dogs and you know, that's just it's crap, and and if I cheat, I'm not gonna lose. And I see people would, you know, cheat on dumb things and then stall for a week, and
it's not worth it.
It's no disrespect for anyone who does, and if I had something special to go to, maybe that would, but I always planned everything around dates. I would look at my calendar and I'm like, okay, well, I absolutely nothing special going on, no birthdays, no weddings, and it just worked out. Never had to have those special occasions during any of those P2s.
Good, that's good. Yeah, so you did go to some things, but they weren't necessarily like super special events.
No.
Gotcha. Yeah, I agree, and it's true about the willpower. Maybe we can even talk about that a little more later as we get into more maintenance stuff. That willpower is a muscle, because like you said, just like a muscle, it can be strengthened. And you can work out your willpower muscle and get better, but also like a muscle, it does fatigue. Just like you can only do a certain workout for so long before you need a rest period to recover, you know? I read a good book about that, actually. You probably have read it too, I don't know. But yeah, there's different studies on that. They've done different studies with college students and radishes and cookies. It's like, and it's about willpower. It's like kind of gauging stuff and what happens to people, and they find that when people are challenged in one way, that later they make less wise choices because their willpower muscles fatigued and they haven't had enough time to recover, and then but that also that it can be strengthened over time, and it's actually pretty fascinating, you know.
Okay.
But yeah, it's true. It can be strengthened, and that's, I think, actually what plays a big role, I think, in long-term maintenance. Mm-hmm. Says you've learned a lot of things the last couple of years. I feel the same for me. Like a lot of things just aren't worth it anymore. And I've had many scenarios where I did it the right way, and that kind of strengthened my willpower muscle, I think, because I was like, and it felt so much better after than how I used to do it the wrong way.
Right.
And it just, honestly, it makes it easier to make the right decision, you know? Yeah. Yeah, I like that. So tell us, what were some of you actually had some favorite P2 meals, and you shared several. Could you share those just to give people ideas on what to eat on P2?
Let's see. I liked to make what I call, well, the P2 tacos with the romaine lettuce. I like the cabbage rolls. I guess you would call it, I think everyone calls it the dirty rice.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah.
I never had a problem with cabbage. I see a lot of people that say they have a problem with cabbage, but I have actually pretty decent losses with cabbage.
Cool. Good. That's good. Yeah. Yeah. And you mentioned buffalo chicken salad.
Yep. Yep. I would always cut up my chicken. I'd get a big thing of chicken, and I would cut everything up into the proper ounces, 3.5 ounces, and then I would do that with the hamburger, so then I could just pull it out of the freezer, and I would just put the buffalo sauce on it, zip it back up, and I would stick it in the refrigerator, and then by the time I was ready to use it, you could just fry it up. And I would cook my stuff in the chicken broth, and a little bit of, sometimes I would use the coconut. I use the coconut oil. I know not everyone does that, but I didn't have a problem with it.
Cool.
And then I use some Flavor God seasonings, though not all of them are no sugar, but the vast majority of them are.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's see, what else did I like?
And scrambled eggs with pico.
Oh,
that looks
yeah,
good.
pico. Oh, I made pico all the time.
That sounds really good. Just tomato, onion, cilantro, lemon juice you have here. Is that right?
Yep. Yep.
Cool. That sounds good. And you have, let's see, ground beef patty with roasted radishes. Ooh, deviled eggs with celery. Can you tell us how you made that?
Yeah, we just made the eggs like you were supposed to. Just hard-boiled eggs, and pitch out the egg yolks you couldn't use, and I would use one of the whole egg whites, and I would chop that in there with the cucumber, and I would use the Dijon mustard with the horseradish.
Ooh, oh, I love the Dijon mustard with horseradish. I'm glad you brought that up. Yes. It gives it just enough kick, that's like so good.
Because I'm not really a mustard person, but I love horseradish. So it kind of, if you don't like mustard, that kind of works for it. And then I would just fill up the rest of my little egg whites, and then I always had leftovers. So then I would scoop it with some celery.
Oh, and nice.
For me, that was a huge meal.
Was it? So you would actually, so basically it was so you guys, you can do a replacement meat. If you don't know, if you're newer to the protocol for P2, you can do 3 egg whites plus 1 whole egg, right?
So 4 eggs total, yeah.
It's been several years since I did the protocol. Might be 1 egg off. No, yeah. So 3 egg whites plus 1 whole egg. So you're only eating 1 yolk because that's where the fat is, right? So they're trying to keep it. And so you would actually do that with the Dijon mustard, and then so what was the filling? I'm trying to figure out what
the filling was one of the egg whites.
Okay.
Cucumbers, the Dijon mustard, and then the 2 tablespoons of cottage cheese.
Oh, okay, gotcha. 2 tablespoons cottage cheese, and then really finely chopped cucumber or something.
Yeah.
Oh, is that a recipe you made up, or did you find that online somewhere? Or?
I'm not. I kind of would take little bits and pieces from everybody else's.
Everywhere. Okay.
It might have been, it might have. I have it on the Instagram. It might have been just 1 tablespoon of cottage cheese, whatever the freebie, whatever.
If it's on your Instagram, maybe we can find it. Just because I bet everyone's gonna be like, oh, I want to try that, and they're not sure how to make it. So maybe we can we'll find her Instagram post about it, and it has like the ingredients on it.
Yep, and because I would always take from those freebie lists, but I'm not sure if it's 1 or 2 tablespoons now, but whatever the freebie list was for the cottage cheese, and I would just chop that all up in there. And
gotcha. Okay, we'll put a screenshot of her Instagram post, you guys. I'll have Lucille find it and put that for you guys. Okay, cool, because people want ideas, And so scrambled eggs with the pico, probably same thing, right? The 3 egg whites plus the egg, and then your pico. That sounds actually really delicious. And then you put fish and asparagus. You also mentioned you use your air fryer. I just kind of recently learned about the air fryer.
Oh, yeah, that saved me because I was not a radish person at all, but I would use I would use my spiraler, the little spiraler thing.
Yes, that makes spiralized noodles. Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
And then I would use the MCT oil. I would spray it on there. Then the Flavor God, I think probably everything is the one. And I would
Okay.
so I would kind of toss those together, and I would put it in the air fryer, and then maybe 10, 15 minutes, maybe on 400.
Wow. That
And
sounds
every couple of
awesome.
minutes, I'd go in there and I would toss them.
Yeah.
And they did kind of turned out as
Like
close
crispy
to
little noodle fry things.
fries. Yeah.
That sounds awesome. Well, you guys I'll try to find the Flavor God seasoning things. I'll try to find those maybe and link to them or something. Maybe they're on Amazon or something.
Well, they have their own website too.
Okay.
And
Okay.
they're always having 50% off sales
Oh,
or
nice.
$7.99 and
Great. Okay, so we'll link to that and the air fryer thing. I know that that's a pretty pricey thing to get, but I know for people who invest in it, a lot of them really like it. So, because basically the point of the air fryer, for you who don't know, I think is it basically kind of makes foods taste and look fried, but there's like almost no oil used, right?
yeah, I don't use any oil except for what I put actually
Just
on
like
the
a
food. But
tiny
it's basically
spray.
like a convection oven on your countertop.
Yeah. Gotcha. They're a couple $100, right? Like about
Uh,
or
Mine might have been 109.
okay, that's not too bad. Like a smaller one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's the XL one. I mean,
Gotcha.
but I used it like I would make my the chicken tenders, like so my
Oh.
my 3.5 chicken.
Okay.
I'd put a little bit of the MCT oil on it, just kind of moisten them a little bit,
Okay.
and then I would crush up the Wassa cracker,
Oh.
and then I would use again the Flavor God. I think it was the Everything is probably the one I use all the time.
The one called Everything?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so then I'd sprinkle that a little bit in there, of course, salt and pepper, and I would shake it all up like the old-fashioned shake and
yeah,
bake.
it's shake and bake, and I helped.
And I'd stick that in the air fryer, and I'm telling you, they tasted as close to Chick-fil-A chicken as you could get.
How fun! That's awesome.
That
That's
was
great, and you were having that on P2. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. That's awesome. Now, how about your fish? You mentioned fish. How did you like to prepare your fish?
The fish I would put in a frying pan, and I would cook it with the coconut oil, and I would put the little Flavor God seasonings on there. I need my fish well done.
Yeah.
So I'd flip it over a couple of times, and I would throw the asparagus then inside of it,
Okay.
inside the pan.
Okay.
And then after a bit, I would start to crush up the fish
Ooh.
because I wanted to make sure it was cooked on inside. So it was almost like a stir fry with the
Yeah.
asparagus. I would throw some onion in there, the
Nice.
gravy onion,
Yeah.
or whatever it was, and then
Okay.
salt and pepper, and I would stir fry it all up.
That sounds so good. Thank you for all that. I think that's going to be really helpful for you guys. If you're like totally sick of whatever you're eating, try some of this stuff. That sounds really yummy. Very cool. Okay, cool. And then how about you mentioned your coffee every day on P2? How did you prepare that?
I would put my I started out just using milk, and then I think it was is it Miss hCG girl on YouTube? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. I missed her. Yeah.
Yeah. She had told me that she would use fat-free, sugar-free creamer in her coffee every day.
Yeah.
And I know it's not
Right. It's off
it's
protocol. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
but because I was a huge coffee drinker, and so I was using the milk, but I would put in my cup, my Ninja,
Yeah.
a few pieces of ice, piece of chocolate delight, and the milk, and then my coffee, and like 4 drops of chocolate stevia and 4 drops of toffee, and I put that all up, and it was good.
That sounds pretty good.
But then probably around 3 or around 4, I switched to the sugar-free vanilla creamer, like 2 tablespoons. That was a huge life changer.
You're like, what?
And I'd have like 1 a day, and I was still able to lose.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can do it with milk, but
Makes a difference.
to be honest,
Yeah.
I have to say I did the other way the last around.
Well, it's good to hear, because that's the thing is like you said, it helped you keep your sanity on your rounds, and you seem to continue losing. So I agree. Like, I actually have a whole page, you guys. I think it's actually hcgchica.com/sanity savers. I have a sanity savers page, and it's like basically, yeah, different products and things that we utilize on phase 2. Some of them are on protocol, some of them may be slightly off, and it's a personal decision, you know, for every person. Sometimes you got to try things out, but in the end, it's like, even if, for instance, you lost half a pound less than you would have, or whatever, it's like, if it made you do the whole round, though, like, then
Yeah.
that's the win. That's the right choice, you know?
Yeah, that's the way I kind of looked at it. I was like, you know, that was, I looked forward to it every day.
Yes.
And it kept me going. And
yeah, exactly. You kind of have to just kind of make those balanced decisions for yourself, and that's even in everyday life. Even like for us now in maintenance, we probably make decisions like that, where it's like, you know, like people say the 80-20 thing or whatever. It's just like, there's times when it's like, it's you have to think long term, and it's not always about what's going to get the very best effect in that very second moment, you know, because it's the long term and your mental thing and how you can stick to stuff long term, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So cool. Well, thank you for sharing that. So, because that way, in case someone wants to try that rogue thing, they know that it works for some people. So that's good. I'm curious now, since you did utilize the coconut oil and the MCT on P2, because a lot of people do ask me about this, and I have a blog post about it for you guys if you want to check that out as well. So I'll link to that in the show notes. But do you know how much coconut oil and MCT oil you would use per day by any chance?
When I cooked, like when my fish and all that, I never used over a tablespoon. And
like
then
in a day or per meal?
per meal, like
Okay.
I would just, I mean, probably half a tablespoon, and then I would cook with chicken broth or vegetable broth or beef broth.
Gotcha.
So I would start out with with the coconut oil, just kind of get the pan kind of wet a little bit, and I would finish off with the chicken broth or vegetable broth.
Okay. So when you were using it, it sounds like you would do kind of did you just eyeball it like just enough to kind of get the pan slick or something?
Yeah.
Because, you know, coconut oil goes a long way. Like, I've noticed even like more than butter. Like, if you put a teaspoon of butter in a pan, it's kind of like it doesn't spread across the pan, really. You're like, that's not enough. But with coconut oil, it's like, you know, and you're like, whoa, that goes far.
Well, and I knew I was using a piece in my coffee every day.
Right.
And then every now and then.
Chocolate delight, right? You said?
Yeah, chocolate delight. And then I would occasionally I would have a piece with like a cup of tea.
Okay.
Chocolate delight. So you know, I used it what I thought was sparingly, and
so you may have had 1 to 2 tablespoons a day. It sounds like, maybe. Does that seem like a good guess? Okay, cool. And there's a little over 100 calories. I think there's like 120-ish calories in a tablespoon of coconut oil. So that's like between 120 and 240 calories extra a day that you had with your thing. And that sounds like it kept you sane and you enjoyed it that way, you know. You didn't have your gains, so.
There was days that I would, because probably definitely my last 2 rounds, I didn't track my calories. I just tracked my protein.
Yeah, right.
But there would be days I only ate like 300 calories, 350.
Gotcha.
Some days I ate my fruit, and some days I didn't. Some days my fruit was my tomato, and I just decided that towards the end there I wasn't gonna track anymore.
You honestly, you don't really have to. I think the 500 number, it's like, if you're following the protocol, for the most part, you're gonna be at the 500 or less, you know what I mean? So like you said, it's really, the protein is the more calorie dense thing. So, but I counted my first round. I like weighed my lettuce and my cucumber, and after the first round I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, I am not gonna weigh something that's 9 calories. I refuse. You know?
Well, I was so afraid if I didn't, like I said, I went into this, I went in both feet, and I was afraid if I didn't, and then, you know, I would read, once I found out about this whole community, you know, I would read all this stuff, and I was like, if I'm not losing as much, it's because I'm not eating enough. And then I started to get worried, then I would like try and eat too much, and that just became too monotonous.
Sure. Yeah.
So I was
you just overthink it. You just kind of got to trust the process. Don't you agree with the weight loss on hCG in general?
Yeah.
Yeah, when you start overthinking it too much, it can just be like, drive you crazy. So
Well, and
Cool.
then when I would try to exercise or played more volleyball, I would maybe eat a little bit more protein, maybe just 4 ounces.
Sure. Oh, so you did that on phase 2 sometimes.
Towards the
Gotcha.
towards my last rounds, I wanted to kind of test it out.
Yeah. So then you would have a little extra protein to compensate.
Yeah,
Cool.
because
Did that work pretty well for you?
I would notice some days I would play volleyball, I wouldn't lose as much. Like maybe it'd be like a 0.4 or a 0.6.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I'm going to incorporate a little more protein, then I would notice I would lose like maybe 0.8 or another pound. So
That felt better.
well, I don't know if it's all in here or if it's really happening.
I know it's hard to know sometimes, but you know, it is good to listen to your body. And I have definitely found that like if you kind of like demand too much of your body like all at once, it does seem to kind of rebel. So it's kind of like if you're eating hardly anything and then doing majorly intensive volleyball, like it makes sense that if you give your body a little more, like it's less stressful. So that makes sense that then it would like handle it better and respond better, you know? So
Yep.
yeah, that was a good idea. Cool. So, and then I thought it was interesting, you know, with the chocolate delight, I just wanted to bring this out because you mentioned that you're not like a sugar craver or a sugar eater. So, and you would have just like one piece with some tea and then you were good. Like you didn't feel like, so that's good. So if you're that type of person, you may be able to get away with that. Like now, I'm the type of person, so I would make that stuff. And then I remember one time, I don't know if you remember Heavy Dobby on YouTube. If you guys, she has a wonderful journey she shared on YouTube. So this was like the lemon version of Chocolate Delight. So it was with like lemons and it was coconut butter, I think. I don't remember. Anyway, so I made that one time on P2. And it was this whole plate of them, right? And you're only supposed to eat one. And I literally ate the whole plate that day. Like I probably went back to the fridge like 7 times and like ate like the whole thing. And so for people like me, that just doesn't work well because I just have no self-control with sugary things. So you have to be honest with yourself, everybody, and know what type of person you are and kind of know what's going to be a trigger and what's going to make it hard for you and what's going to make it easier. So it's like you, Cindi, you found these couple things like with the creamer and the chocolate delight, you know, and a little bit of coconut oil that like kind of actually helped you stick to the protocol, it sounds like, and make it livable. Like you even mentioned, I think somewhere in your notes here that like you don't really find P2 to be that difficult. Like you feel like it's, you know, has structure and you can handle it. And I actually dread the idea of having to do it again ever. I haven't done it in 5 years now. I don't want to do it again. It's like, I hate the idea of having to like have that much self-control. It's like, but because I still eat, you know, a fair amount in regular life. So, but I just think it just shows that we're all different too. And, you know, like you need to work with who you are. And so sometimes you may need to do something rogue to stick to the protocol like Cindi did, because that's kind of what got you where you are today, probably, you know? So, oh, I'm glad you have that kind of self-control. That's so awesome. I have it in other ways. Certain ways I don't. Why don't you share with us some of the vitamin stuff that you took and what you found to be helpful? Like, what do you think actually really helped you?
Well, let's see, I took a calcium and magnesium every day. I took, you know, I don't know what really helped. I just know that what people had said, you know, was kind of good to take.
Gotcha.
I took the MSMs, and that was supposed to help for like joint and like skin elasticity, because you know, I knew I was going to be losing, or I actually started losing a lot of weight before I started taking that.
Gotcha.
Oh, golly.
Yeah, you mentioned B12.
Yep, I started taking B12.
And then was that the sublingual lozenge that you took?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, I have that, or I've got a pill version as well. Okay. And that I started taking, I think, last summer. So that was afterwards as well.
Okay.
I went to the doctor. She had done some blood work on me, and she thought everything was really good. And then she had suggested I started taking a vitamin D.
Okay.
So I started taking a dissolvable vitamin D, and then I had then my actually my chiropractor had told me about vitamin D as well. And he was telling me you could take up to 10,000 IUs of vitamin D, and he thought that might kind of help me with my migraines as well.
Oh, interesting.
So I take 5,000 in the morning and 5,000 at night. It's just a dissolvable tab.
Right, gotcha.
Actually, the ones that really did help me though is I think my third round I started losing hair.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk about this because lots of people have this happen and they don't know what to do and they're worried. So yeah, talk about the hair thing.
So I was taking biotin because I knew that would help. But then I started taking the
collagen you have here?
The collagen, yes.
Collagen and biotin.
And I wasn't sure which one to take, and then I found one that did get approved. And probably within 30 days, I noticed my hair was coming back. And within 3 months, it was completely back. And my hair is stick straight, but I had noticed that like some areas were coming back a little bit wavy. So I was like, so it had to be new hair.
Right.
But I mean, I keep my hair short now. It used to be long, but it's definitely, I don't have super thick hair, but I never did. Right. But it definitely, like before, you could almost see through it.
Aww.
I mean, I had lost.
That's scary.
Quite, but I remember when I had lost weight before, I had lost hair too, and it has nothing to do with hCG. It's just because your calories are diminished so much,
right?
And your body has to pull nutrients from somewhere, and your hair is like the last ones to regain all that. I mean, my doctor told me it's not a big deal. It'll come back when you start bringing your nutrients back.
Right.
But I hear so many people, or I read so many people say, "Oh, the hCG made me lose your hair." No, it didn't. It's not.
Yeah, just like quick, fast weight loss is really the culprit. Or honestly, any stressful. I have a post on that too, you guys. I'll link to it about hair loss. But that's the thing. I researched it too. Pretty much just stress, any type of like stressful thing can cause hair loss, and losing a lot of weight quickly is basically a stress to the body. Just honestly, you know.
So, but I still take those every day. So all these supplements I still take every day.
Gotcha.
And then
so it's probably a good idea with the collagen and biotin, like just to start that right away on hCG, I would think, you know?
Yeah.
Right?
Which I still, but now I have to do my eyebrows just as much. Because I mean, you don't just grow hair on your head, you grow hair everywhere.
Right. It's true.
So I have to pluck my eyebrows just as much, or probably a little bit faster.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been super happy. So anytime I ever see anybody that has problems with hair, I have a snapshot of the vitamins and the supplements that I take, and I'm always sending them off to them because.
Awesome. Could you send them to us too, and we'll put them in the show notes, a little picture?
Okay.
Awesome. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, for everyone to try that out, because I do get that question a lot. I agree. I haven't actually taken collagen, but I did take biotin for a while when I was having a little trouble with my hair. And you're right, I did see a lot of new hair growth. I really should start taking that again. And also, I don't know, everyone's different, but like I didn't have hair loss every round. Just for some of you guys out there who are wondering about this or terrified, I only had it after one round actually. I think it was maybe my third one.
See, that's when mine started in my third round.
Okay, yeah, so it's not always, and then I didn't recall having any hair loss after my other ones. So it's I don't know, it's not always across the board the same experience. And then like you said, it does grow back. Mine grew back. You know, I guess it's just certain things you have to decide. It's like maybe if you did like weight loss the slow way and like did a 2-year process where you worked out and only ate a little bit less each day for 2 years, maybe you wouldn't lose any hair. But you know what, to be honest, I just would never have done that. I just wouldn't have done it. I just would have stayed overweight. You know? Like, so it's just, you kind of have to decide for yourself like what you're gonna do and what matters most too. So
yeah. By the time I had started losing hair, I was all in. So I was like, you just have to fix it now.
Yeah, and you know, also, I don't know if this works because I've never tried it, but one of my other interviews who also had the hair loss problem, and she talked about, I can't even remember how she figured this out or who told her this, but with the MSM, I have this on the resources page, the Sanity Savers page on hCG Chica. She had discovered that if you put, I don't know if it's like a tablespoon or 2 of MSM powder in a small, like those beauty spray bottles, like those small ones.
Yeah, I think
you put it in water, and then you don't actually spray it on your hair. She said when you get out of the shower, you spray it all over your skin, so it absorbs into your body. And for some reason, she said that stopped her hair loss on hCG cold. Like, No more hair loss at all.
All
I
right.
never got a chance to figure out why it was doing that or if it would for everyone, but if you want to try that, give it a try. So I thought that was interesting. So what do you think are some important things for sticking to the protocol and doing it well, like for success? What are some important tips that you feel are important for success?
Networking with other people is probably a big help. I networked with other people. I found websites like yours, a lot of Facebook people. YouTube was a big one for me. Every night I would get my phone and I'd put my little headphones in and I would listen to somebody's story.
Cool.
A lot of your interviews, I would listen to them over and over again. I felt like I picked up something from someone each time.
Cool.
Like Mrs. hCG girl, I would listen to hers. I mean, I think she had like 8 rounds.
Yeah.
I would listen to hers from start to finish. Like she would be on, like, let's say she was on round 3 and I'd be on round 3. Day 7, I'd be on day 7. So then I would listen to her to see where
what
she
she's
was
up
at.
to. Yeah.
There was a lot of different people, but I would just listen to theirs, and whatever day they were on, I would listen to that day and see how they were, what their loss was, what they ate that day.
Yeah.
That was hugely motivating for me.
So did it feel like it helped you kind of stick each day to doing what you were doing and stay focused?
Yeah. Writing things down. I mean, I have this big binder that I just wrote everything down. I'd write, how much I weighed that day. Of course, I'd write it on a calendar and then I transfer it over, but I would write down how much I weighed. Every Monday I was on a system. Every Monday I would measure. Then I would, get a hold of the girls. Usually there's girls that are in the same round. Okay, this is what I lost.
Nice.
What did you? No, they would say what they lost. So what did you eat yesterday? What are you eating today? The grocery store. Hey, such and such. Target has this on sale today. Aldi's has this on sale. And then we all, we hit the grocery stores. I don't know. It was almost like a second job for me.
Yeah.
And I know not everybody has that time to do that, but sometimes you got to make a little bit of time for you to do those things. And, that was, I did this in like 7 months. So for 7 months of my time,
Gotcha.
It's got me to where I am now.
Yeah, I mean, that's so worth it, I like how because you did write that. You said, treat this like a job, research. And, yeah, and I agree. I basically did the same thing as you as far as, I don't think Facebook groups were big when I did hCG initially because I had started in 2011. I can't believe that. That's like already like 6 years ago. I don't know, or maybe it just was that I wasn't on Facebook yet. But I did the YouTube thing, and yeah, that was huge. I was the same as you. I would watch YouTube videos every day. Like you said, it's like a second job, and that's the thing. We can trick ourselves and say we don't have time for things, but the truth is we do find time. We do find money for things that we really care about. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even like sometimes we spend money we shouldn't spend because we really wanted to. Like, I mean, but you found a way. Like, it's like, so if it's important and it's gonna get you something that's a big life change, you can let go of other things sometimes. Sometimes you have to do that, but it's just temporary. So
there's definitely ways to modify. Like we used to go out to eat a lot, so I mean this actually saved me money. I mean I might spend some money on Amazon buying a lot of these stevia drops.
It's true. But hey, like you don't have to. Yeah, like you said, it saves on other things though. You have to look at the big picture. I'm gonna link you guys. She actually wrote a list in her answers to me of several of the different YouTube people that she has watched over the years. So I'm gonna link to each one of those so that even though some are older, like their videos are still useful today. I mean, the journey is the same whether you did it 5 years ago or now. It's like the same process we go through. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, like there's Miss hCG girl, Colin Watson, SoCal Plum. Like totally.
Yeah.
You know what? I was supposed to interview her, and we just never, like, it never worked out. I guess like we weren't able to fully connect. So, because she's a busy gal, so I wonder how she's doing. And then also Culinary hCG on Instagram. You know,
Yep.
I've interviewed her. I'll also link to her actual interview. Her name's Bella. She's awesome, but she has so many great P2 and P3 recipes.
Yep.
She's so creative with food. So anyway, those will all be in the show notes, so you guys will definitely want to check all that out. And then as far as like the Facebook group thing, there are a variety of different Facebook groups where you can get support. So I'll also link to those in the show notes too. There's some different ones. I'm not sure if I don't know which ones you found to be helpful or if they want more members or not. Like, you can share it if you want, but you don't have to. But
well, I did mine. I did mine all through Miracle Skinny Drops.
Okay, good.
And they have like I said, I did all mine through Drops, but now recently they've partnered with someone that can actually get the injections.
Prescription. So that's nice.
Prescription, yeah.
That's good. Cool. Yeah. So anyway, so we'll put some of the Facebook groups that you guys can check out there too. You also mentioned that you felt sleep is important. Do you want to mention that? Talk about that for a second.
Yeah. So like I said, I would always write things down, how much I lost, and I would notice a humongous difference on the days I got at least 8 to 10 hours of sleep. So, like I said, this was my job.
Yeah.
My second job. And I thought, if I'm putting all this time and effort and money into this, I went to bed at 10 o'clock every night. And I was fortunate enough to where, I'm at a place in my life where I don't have to get up between 7:30 and 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
So I was able to sleep that whole time.
Nice.
And, I had much bigger losses than the times where I would go to bed at 12:31 and get up at 7.
Right. I'm so glad you shared that because I see that over and over again. People mention that. I have a blog post on sleep, you guys. I'll link to it in the show notes. But in it, I talk about a small pilot study that was done about weight loss and sleep. And they did and this wasn't related to hCG, but the principle applies. And they did 2 groups of people. One slept only, I think, 4 or 5 hours a night. I think it was like 5. And then one group slept 8. And they were on the same exact diet. And what's interesting is they actually lost the same amount of weight, but the group that slept less lost far more muscle. So they actually did not have as much fat loss, like by 50%. Like it was a lot more muscle and not nearly as much fat. So sleep is big. That's when your body's actually like processing stuff,
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
so.
And I think I had read that somewhere where it said, that you have to let the hCG work, and and it works best when you're actually moving less. Somewhere, and I don't know don't quote me on exactly what it said, but I had read that somewhere.
Yeah.
And so I thought, you know what? If they want me to move less, then I'll move less.
You don't have to convince me. You're like, it's 10 o'clock, I'm going to my second job. See you in the bedroom.
And I did that like the whole time, so I'm not just saying like one day here or there, so I don't want people to get confused thinking, well, I slept 10 hours last night. Why didn't I lose a bunch?
Right.
I mean, it's continuous.
Yeah.
You need to make sure you're sleeping every night.
Right. Well, because sleep deficit, I mean, isn't that a real thing? Like they talk about, like you can build up a sleep deficit over time, where it's not like a one-day thing. You know what I mean? So it's true. Like you have to, this is the whole thing. And so anyway, I think if you guys are ever having trouble with weight loss or stalls, like always look at sleep and water too, at those components, because I think we underestimate the effect it has on our weight loss. And we're like, well, I'm following the diet, like I'm doing the 500 calories, and then I'm stalling it. It's actually these other things really can completely mess up your results if you're ignoring it. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, I drank lemon water like it was crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I made sure I got it in, and I just had to keep thinking to myself every time I went to the bathroom, I'm losing weight.
Every time I pee, it's worth all of this. That's cool. And then you have all your different social media here, so we'll have that in the show notes too. The only one I knew of was I saw you on Instagram originally, so you're Cynthia hCG, right, on Instagram. Yep. All one word. But you've got Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, and MyFitnessPal, which is kind of cool. So we'll have that all in the show notes for you guys too. Do you want to talk a little bit about P3 and how you handled that and how that went for you? You've done several, I know, so.
I pretty much handled it all the same, like as soon as, 72 hours was up, I handled it all the same, went out and bought my bacon, got my eggs, and I always did the the mixed veggies. I'd get like zucchini, the yellow and the green, and like mushrooms and onions and all the peppers, and I would keep them all like cut up in the refrigerator, and I would stir fry those up with almost every meal. So I was getting in, my veggies, and I added in all like proteins. I couldn't wait to have salmon, because I was eating all that white fish. So
Yes, yeah. Love salmon.
And I kind of went. I usually only eat twice a day.
Oh, that's right. We were going to talk about fasting.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mostly don't eat breakfast, right? You said.
Yeah, or if I do, it's late breakfast. So it's kind of like my lunch.
Yeah.
I'm self-employed. My husband works outside the home, so he's gone. And so then if I do eat, I'll eat anywhere between 11 to 2.
We have the same eating pattern in that way. Yeah, I'm the same way. I have my first meal between 11 and 2. Yeah.
And I enjoy my coffee. I still love my coffee.
Yeah.
Sometimes I still throw my chocolate delight in it. I do my ice and my chocolate delight, my cream. I use heavy whipping cream now. And I put my coffee in it, and then I blend it up in my Ninja, and so it just frosts.
Like a nice big icy like coffee drink.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's pretty big. Like how much ice do you put in it?
Like 4 or 5 little. They're just little. Just whatever comes out of my fridge there.
Gotcha. Cool.
Just enough to froth it up.
I see.
So it's still a little warm, but
yeah.
And I'll drink that. I usually start that out around 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning. I'll drink that all morning while I'm checking emails and just doing stuff around the house.
Gotcha.
After my workout.
Very cool.
And then, so then if I have breakfast, that's what I choose to do. If I go out, I have found some places that I can go out and eat, and I'll have like a salad. And I usually don't have any dressing, or if I do, I'd like to find some places that have like a homemade ranch that will make their ranch, so I know that there's like mayonnaise in it or something that's got our healthy fat, a little less preserved.
Yeah.
Or somewhere that's got like a Mexican salad with no dressing, and I'll do double guacamole.
Oh, that sounds really good. Yeah, very cool. So that it has a little bit of moisture on it, though.
Yeah. So I love avocados, and I like. Oh, and so for my breakfast, I like to fry up avocado. So I'll slice it up.
Yeah.
And then I'll flip it over, and I fry up my avocado.
Oh, just in like a little oil or something in a pan?
Whatever. When I pull my eggs out, then I'll flop the avocados in there.
Wow. So now, is this when you occasionally have breakfast, or is this your first meal when you eat between 11 and 2 type meal?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That meal, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. That sounds really good. And then you have like dinner. So you have 2 main meals a day, like just larger 2 main meals is what you do.
Gotcha. Yep. And when my husband gets home, he eats late, so then we usually eat a little bit later, around 7, 8 o'clock.
7, 8. So you have your first meal between 11 and 2, and then do you just not eat again until 7 or 8 when you have dinner?
Yep.
I love that.
Sometimes I'll have another coffee. Either if I make it at home, or I'll go to Starbucks and get an iced Americano with heavy whipping cream.
Gotcha. I find, I don't know how many calories you eat in each of those meals, but I'm going to assume that it's a higher calorie meal since you're only eating the 2 times a day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have found that for me, I feel very satisfied when I have a full meal. And then, like you said, like I also don't need to eat for 5 to 7 hours after a full meal.
Yeah, I mean, occasionally I'll grab like a handful of like,
sure,
I don't know, maybe half ounce to an ounce of like macadamia nuts or something like that.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean,
you're fine for a while.
Yeah.
You're not like starving an hour later after lunch.
Oh, no. And if I do, like I said, I make these big coffees, and
yeah,
they just kind of go with me.
Gotcha.
And I always have water with me.
Cool.
Always.
That's really cool. So with your fasting now, so you're already kind of intermittent fast a little bit daily in a way, because you fast from dinner to whenever you have your first meal of the day, which is not in the morning. So it's more like 11 to 2, right? So
most days it's later, but yeah.
Most days it's later. So it's like your eating window is probably like, I don't know, like 10 to 14 hours or something like that you eat within, and then you sleep from like you don't eat from like what, like 9 to the next day at 12 sort of thing? Sort
Yeah,
of?
like so like if I ate last night, we ate it. Yeah, around 8, and then so like today I haven't ate yet, so.
Yeah. So yeah, probably you're probably fasting a good 14 hours, So that's one thing.
Mhm.
Now outside of that, do you also fast for a whole day here and there?
Never, I mean, like sometimes sometimes I don't mean to. Like I'll
Yeah.
take my coffee and I go to work, and
Just a
then
busy day.
next thing I know, it's like 2, 3 o'clock, and I'm like, like maybe I'll just go to the store and get stuff for dinner. Maybe we'll have an early dinner, and
Right.
next thing I know, it's 6, 7 o'clock, and
Yeah.
so then I'm by that, or by sometimes by 3, 4 o'clock, I'll be like, well, I might as well just wait till dinner now and have this be my fasting day.
Right. Yeah. And what do you think of that? What do you think about doing that?
Yeah, I think it seems to help keep kind of like flush things out and
Mm-hmm.
just.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's awesome. It's kind of funny. I was thinking about this because I've been doing fasting like this for 5 years now too, and I feel like it's been a great way to just keep things in check, honestly, and it kind of actually resets any cravings I might be getting. Like if I've been kind of snacking on little things too much and getting too munchy, like if I do a fast day where I don't eat until dinner, I find it resets my cravings, and I find myself like by the end of the fast, like I want like chicken and steak and broccoli, or like I want like a real healthy meal, and I'm not kind of hankering after just like junky stuff.
Yeah.
So that's what it helps me with. But I was thinking it's like sometimes people talk about their weight gain prior to hCG or anything, and that they're like, well, I never ate regular meals, and then I would skip meals a lot, and they attribute that to the weight gain. And I was trying to figure out like why is it sometimes that eating infrequent meals or fasting can work well, and then why is it that sometimes it's kind of a contributor to weight gain? And I don't know the exact answer, but I was just kind of, I don't know what you think either, but it seems like when people talk about when it's not intentional, like they don't have like a healthy way of eating, like they'll kind of not eat all day, and then they'll come home and eat McDonald's, or eat really unhealthy food. Whereas like for you, even though you never eat breakfast, the meals that you do eat, you're very intentional about your lifestyle, and then the foods you do eat are very healthy, and so your overall calorie range is, I'm sure, within a proper range for you. I don't know, do you think that might have something to do with it?
Yeah, because I mean, I think that I used to do this before intentional fasting, and yeah, you're right. I would come home and then I'd be like, all right, now I got to make my meat, my potato, my bread, and I'd be like, I have to cram all my food in one day. Where
Yeah.
like on even if it is an intentional fasting, like, oh shoot, it's 3 o'clock and I still haven't eaten yet. I'm like,
Right.
I will plan on eating like my steak and my salad and
Right.
real intentional, like the right food versus
Right.
just
The other
cramming it.
just cramming
Yeah.
and like stuffing your face. Like I've done
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I know. I think that must have something to do with it, because I have definitely seen both, and because I was thinking some people might feel like, well, it's not good to not have regular meals, or to never eat breakfast, and but I think there's a difference there. It's how you are intentionally living and what you end up choosing to eat when you are eating, and I feel like, yeah, that must make a difference. So if you do it the right way. Yeah. Cool. So that sounds like that works pretty well for you, because have you been doing that a while then, not eating breakfast and the two main meals a day?
Yeah, because I don't know, I think I had read somewhere just kind of like, every time you do eat, it stimulates your body to
Mm-hmm.
work in certain ways. And some people, it does work really well for them to eat 5 or 6 meals a day,
Right.
keeps their metabolism going or what have you. And
Mm-hmm.
for me, it does not work to keep food in my body all day long.
Yeah.
It doesn't work for me. And
Yeah.
I can see when I work out a whole bunch, I used to think, well, I'm hungry, so I need to eat more. Well, I think if I drink more, put something back into my body that other than food, it works better for me.
Cool. That's
Like
good.
I'll do some protein, or like I like my protein shake, so I'll put that, like I say, I'll put that in my coffee. Like today, I haven't eaten yet today, but I did put protein in my coffee after my
Gotcha.
workout.
Yeah. I'll have to try that sometime. I have black tea every morning.
Oh.
But I've never thought of putting protein powder in it. I should try that sometime.
Yeah, and I'm not really sure where I picked that up. I'm sure I picked that up from somebody somewhere along the lines, but I just put a half a scoop in there. I
Yeah,
think, yeah, I'm not sure where I picked that up.
that's a cool idea.
I put protein powder in my pancake mix or my waffle mix too.
Ah, yeah. Yeah, I've seen that. That's a cool idea. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing all that. That's really useful. It's good for people to know like what people do long term for maintaining, and that there's different approaches, and I think the whole eating to 5 to 6 times a day thing, it can work for some, like you said, but so many people have kind of come to believe that it's required or like the only healthy way, but they're finding now that it's not, like, because I think some of the original studies, I don't know if this was back in the 90s or what, they were using that as like, oh, that's how we know because of these studies. And now they're saying, like, now when they look back at the studies, they're saying it doesn't actually prove that at all. And I can't remember why, but it's just, you have to take everything with a grain of salt. And sometimes you have to try things out and see. And it's like, for me, it'll be in November, it'll be 5 years that I've been maintaining my weight loss. And yeah, I've literally eaten breakfast in that 5 years like twice. Like, it's like, you know, so sometimes if I'm hungry or like if I did some really heavy weightlifting, I will be hungry earlier. And so then I might eat my lunch at like 11. But then other days I'm not as hungry and it might not be 12 or 1. Now, and also, I don't know if this makes a difference to you, but I feel like it probably does. I don't know what time you get up every morning, but I also don't get up really early. So it's like if you're a person who gets up at 5 in the morning, you're probably going to be eating earlier. Like you're probably, like you probably can't wait till 1. You know what I mean? I don't know. Unless, like, I don't know if you're getting up more like between 7 and 9.
Yeah.
It works out to wait 3-4 hours, but you probably, that makes a difference too. So sometimes if we don't have all the details, we might get confused and be like, well, why doesn't it work for me? Like, well, you get up at 5, so you probably do need to eat at more like 9 or 10, So
Yeah.
all of those things play a role. Now, so did you track your calories for a period of time at all during P3 or not?
Yeah. This last round I didn't. This is the first time I didn't, but all the other rounds I did, and I kept them in between. I kept them always under 1,500. Like the first couple of rounds, I think I was around 1,100
Okay.
for like the first week, and then I would bump them up to like 12, 13, and
Okay.
whatever would keep me under that 2-pound window.
Gotcha. So you would gradually increase your calories.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then you would you would stabilize pretty well doing that.
Yeah, I didn't have any problem stabilizing any of my P3s.
That's great.
Now, sometimes within that 72-hour window, sometimes I would lose weight, sometimes I would gain weight, and that was never science. I could never figure out the science behind that.
Yeah.
But I could always maintain. I mean, I did do some steak days here and there.
Sure.
But
yeah.
I think one of the rounds was Mother's Day, and I knew, I was like, all right, I know I'm going out for Mother's Day, so I just knew on that Monday that I was just planning on fasting.
Planned correction day. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I thought, you know what, my mom could not wait for me to be done and be able to go out to dinner, so I was like, it's not like I ate a loaf of bread or anything like that, but
Right.
I just I'm not gonna have my mom worry about Mother's Day. So.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, and I'm glad that you mentioned your gradual calorie increase, and that works because that's kind of how I ended up designing my P3 program, was because I kept interviewing ladies, on the blog, and all the women who would stabilize in P3, they were usually really methodical, and they would be like, well, I gradually increased my calories, and I'm like, well, that's a novel thought because I never did that. Like, I just would like jump in and then like have to do a steak day because like just ate a bunch of low carb food like the first day, like, and it was always just really emotionally taxing because you're like don't really kind of know what's going on. So that's why for some of you guys out there who feel like you don't really, like you want more structure, I have the P3 program now. That's at p3tolife.com. But that's one of the main premises behind it is the gradual increase of calories. And it actually is science-backed too. It's called reverse dieting. It's basically a way to, so it was like putting together, it's like, okay, all the ladies who do well, they gradually increase their calories. Like, I need to pay attention to this, And then it was like I researched that, and they call it reverse dieting, and it's basically a way to bring your metabolism back up to normal or whatever. And honestly, it makes sense. It's like our bodies, it adapts well to things that are more gradual, typically, So, yeah. So, and it really does work for people when you do it that way. I like that you said here that what helps you to stay motivated to keep on top of your weight now? Like what do you think helps you with that?
Well, I mean, I certainly like the size of clothes I'm wearing.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, being healthy really is motivating. Being, oh gosh.
So I don't know. Well, you mentioned here about your volleyball.
Oh,
that
yeah.
You play better weighing less than when you were 200 pounds. And I was just thinking, do you think that things like that play a role in your head when you're making decisions? I
can definitely jump better.
Yeah.
Jump better and set the ball and dig for the ball. And I mean, I don't have any problems playing I don't, you didn't think I had any problems playing, but I can definitely tell that my obviously my stamina is better.
Right.
I'm working out more and
yeah,
just
all that stuff.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I just was thinking because I feel like if we find a way to make different kind of more active things a part of our life, whatever it is, it's always going to be easier when we weigh less, and that can be motivating. When there's something you find that you really like that's active, because since you really like it, you're motivated to stay a healthy size so that it can continue to be easier to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I was just thinking about that. Well, thank you so much for all your time today. I know we've talked for a while. You're probably really tired now. I've been grilling you with questions for the last hour and a half. But do you have just as a last question, any last little tips for anyone else? If they're struggling on hCG, what do you think are the most important things to keep in mind?
For the P2, P3?
Yeah, or just maybe either one, just the overall journey. Yeah.
Well, like I said, that the networking, finding someone out there that's doing what you're doing is really motivating. Keeping your scale and weighing yourself, measuring, finding a good routine is helpful. Like I said, I got, in a good routine of my eating habits. I know going out to eat is a big thing for people, and we didn't talk much about that, but I have found that if you find some places that you can eat at,
yes,
and sticking with those places, that way you don't feel deprived, like you can't go out to eat.
That's true.
That's been super helpful for me. So I've got probably a handful of places that I know I can go out to eat, and I don't have to worry about it or feel guilty to myself.
Right. No, I like that. That's really good. Yeah, actually, you mentioned here, you said, I get this all the time, but when people hear 500 calories, they seem to walk away and forget, I'll just stay fat. It's not that important to me. Thinking about what do you really want in the big picture,
Yeah. It's such a short time to make what you want happen for you, and if anyone's ever on the fence about wanting to try it, it's definitely worth a try.
Yeah, because then you can move on, with your life after you're done.
Yep.
Yeah, because I always say this all the time, maintenance is so much easier in a sense, as long as you know how to eat. It's easier than weight loss, because to lose weight, you have to eat less than your body needs, basically. It's like when you eat less than you need, it's not easy. It's less than you need. But eating at a maintenance level, you're eating what you need, and so you have what you need. So that feels easier typically, as long as you have the right foods. So, it's like if you can get the weight loss portion out of the way, and not be under eating for a long period of time, I feel like it's definitely, I'm glad I would do it over again.
Yeah, that's what I tell people. I'm like, when I lost all this weight, then I tell them actually how many days I dieted.
Right.
I think you've talked about that before too. It's like, how many days did you actually diet? It's
Right.
not,
Yeah.
it's been a godsend for me. So I'm
I know.
super happy.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today, Cindi. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. And again, for you guys, you can find all her show notes. Her name is Cindi, so that will be under her interview, and we'll have as many links as we can from what we talked about today, the recipe ideas, her Instagram, different YouTube people, so you can go check all that out as well. So thanks for being with me today. If you want to see any more interviews, that's at hcgchica.com/success stories, I think. Sometimes I forget my own URL links. I think that's what it is. So, all right. You guys have a good day.
All right. Thanks.